Greetings, dear friends. Here we are together again, just you and I, and whoever else may be with you, but just you and I are together again, and I'm talking to you about some of the explicit things that causes a human being to be a Christian. Not joining the church, not paying tithes, not building big buildings for God. That isn't the answer. The answer, dear friends, is you with Christ in you. And I'm going to be hollering this as long as I have breath. I'm going to be telling everybody I possibly can that Christ lives in Christians, and that's what Christianity is. Christianity is not like Buddhism or Islam or Shintoism or any other ism. It's not like being a Baptist, a Methodist, or Pentecostal, or whatnot. Christianity is a whole new existence of new creatures who came to the cross and saw the change that happened to them when they were crucified with Christ. I'm talking about new creatures. I'm talking about people who have come to a new and thrilling life. The life God intended that we live. Not church life, not home life. Those things are important, but they are not most important. The one life that's most important is Christ's life in you. Think about it. We've been looking this week in the 3rd chapter of Philippians, really just taking it kind of verse by verse in some of the things here, and we're going to continue there because it seems like the Spirit is drawing me to these verses, and I want to pass them on to you. We're ready to deal with the 5th verse of this 3rd chapter of Philippians, and it reads, Paul talking about how he could brag more and boast more in who he was than anybody else. Well, here's what he's going to boast and brag about. I was circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of the Hebrews. As touching the law, I was a Pharisee. What a loaded verse. He's telling us what he had been. He's telling us about his former life. He's telling us about a life that no longer existed in intuition, in consciousness, a life that died. Now, he's not telling us that he's lost all his talent. He's not telling us that he's lost his ability to deal with people. He's not telling us that he's lost his ability to read or decipher or know what the Word says. He's telling us about the things that had to do with him that he had to get rid of. I spent some time in the past couple of days talking about circumcision. There's a circumcision of the flesh, and the first word of this 5th verse says, I was circumcised. That was a circumcision of the flesh, because once Christ lived in him, his circumcision was no longer of human flesh. The circumcision was his place on the cross with Christ. It's like Galatians 2:20 says, I am crucified with, W-I-T-H. I'll come back to that again and again, because new Bibles have changed that. The new translators have gone in another direction. But what they did, they were trying to cut out a human being crucified with Christ. Oh, dear friend, if you knew the difference between being crucified with Christ and trying to live a good life today, if you knew the difference between those two items, you'd be a happy person. Because everybody's so struggling in their flesh to do what is right, to do what is good, to be perfectly circumcised. Listen, when he died on the cross, you were in him. In him. The first point in the Scriptures where you were in Christ is Gethsemane. When he drank the cup, you went into him. When he hung on the cross, you were crucified with him. With him. Don't you see? If you knew the difference between being crucified with Christ and trying to do good works and trying to overcome, maybe you're an alcoholic and you're trying to stop drinking, you've got to get it in your mind what Christianity is. Christianity is that old life of yours died when he hung on the cross. In Romans 6:6, it says, knowing this, that our old life, our old way of doing things, our old sinful existence died with Christ. You were with him. That's a personal thing. You were with him. He didn't exclude you. You were with him. All wrapped up in that first word, circumcised, the 8th day of the stock of Israel. That's the best way you could have been done. It could have been done to you. That's the best way it was done to the elite in that day of the stock of Israel. High standing Israelites. You were one of them. You were the tribe of Benjamin. I never made much study on the tribe of Benjamin. Man came up to me some time ago when I was writing something on a blackboard. And he said, oh, I see that you're left-handed. Oh, I said, yes, I've been left-handed in this right-handed world for a long time. Well, he said, I just thought I'd tell you, you must be of the tribe of Benjamin. I said, how's that? He said, they claimed that all of them were left-handed in the tribe of Benjamin. So you must be of the tribe of Benjamin. Well, I don't think that, but that was an interesting thought. I was left-handed. That's a Hebrew of the Hebrews. Touching the law, I was a Pharisee. So much to be said of this verse, but I want to take my time today and tell you what it means in that last line when he says, touching the law, I was a Pharisee. Touching the law, I was a Pharisee. Now that's as far as you can go in the law. That's as deep as you can get in the law. That's the most of the law a human being could ever get a hold of. He said that was me. I was a Pharisee. I could boast and brag about me keeping the law. And so that's something I need to get fixed with you today, that you understand it. What is it you need to understand? We're all law keepers. Anybody raised in America and went to church as a child, from then on you were a law keeper. You had to keep the law. That's what corrected people from doing wrong. That's what made people come to church every service. That's what made people give their money, the law. A fellow wrote me the other day and he said, I'm going to start paying my tithes to you. Well, I got a hold of him and I said, friend, don't do that. Don't do that to me. I don't want to be a receiver of somebody that feels like they have to give their money. And that's what a tithe is. You have to give at least 10%. Somebody says, oh, that's not just Old Testament. That's in the New Testament too. It was also at the cross where Paul was able to say that every bit of the law was dissolved at the cross. I don't need your tithes and offerings. I like money. That takes money to do what I'm doing. Sometimes a whole lot more than I'm able to do. But listen, dear friends, the law, keeping the law, is not the way a Christian lives. So if you know anybody that's keeping the law, they're out of bounds. They may be good Christians. They may be good money-giving Christians. They may be faithful Christians. They may be tongue-talking Christians. They may be Christians who received a great miracle from God. But let me tell you, they're serving something that does not exist, and that's the law. I've heard so many say, well, my preacher friends have said this, you got to have a little bit of law. You don't have a little bit of law, the people won't come along. That's why they don't come along. They don't know who they are. They don't know what they are. They don't know who is their life. They don't know who lives in them. That's my message. That's what I'm going to be preaching till the whole world knows. I won't stop. I've been doing it for the last 40 years. I'm going to keep on doing it. The world needs to know what a Christian is. I heard the other day on the news that some Christians had joined with some Muslims, and they're calling it Chrislam, or Chrislam, whatever. So they joined the two together. What a sad mistake that is. They're not going to get anything out of Christianity anymore, and they certainly won't get anything out of Islam. But you see, people are desperate because for a long time they've been serving foolishness under the law. They say, I've done everything the law told me to do. I've been faithful to the law. That doesn't matter. That has no interest in grace. Not a bit. What it is that gives us interest and hope is that Christ is our life. Christ is our life. So the things that Paul bragged about was his circumcision. He's the stock of Israel. He was a tribe of Benjamin. He was a Hebrew of the Hebrews. And touching the law, he was a Pharisee. He had a lot to brag about. And that's not all. In tomorrow's broadcast, we'll get on some other things that Paul was boasting and bragging about. I hope you'll be listening to us tomorrow. I hope that you'll have an interest in this mission that I'm on to reach the world with the gospel. If I was on a radio station, I couldn't do what I'm doing over the air on this computer right now. If I was on a powerful radio station reaching all of Africa, I couldn't do what I'm doing now, because everybody that has a computer in Africa can hear this message. If I could reach everybody with one of my books, I couldn't do what I'm doing right now. I just couldn't do it, because this goes further and greater than anything I have ever had to do with. So, dear friend, let's get the gospel out. Let's get the gospel out. Let's not hold back. Let's get it out. You say, what do you want me to do? I want you to get other people to listen to me. I want you to get other people to participate with us in this broadcast. I need their help. I need the help of every Christian, because the Christ that lives in me is the same Jesus that lives in them. And they have the same amount of Christ in them that there is in me or anybody else. Same amount. So I want you to help me get this message out. Pray for me. Pray that I'll be used of God, because I have an open door here now through the internet to get the gospel out. I want you to share in it. I want you to be a part of it. I want you to be blessed by it. So I want those that are purely Christian to join with me to get the Christian message known. The only one in this book who knew what the Christian message was the Apostle Paul. So I'm going to have to preach Paul a lot. I'm going to have to preach what he said a lot, because he's the only one that talks about it. He's the only one that knew it. Oh, Brother John come awful close, but he had Paul's writings and Paul's message. But there was no one else that gives such an indication in the whole of this book. Let's get it out. Let's get it out. You can be of greater help to me than you ever dreamt. We have much to boast to God about. We built big buildings. We've been faithful to the Lord. We've raised our children for the Lord. But dear friends, it's time that the world knew what a Christian was. They don't know. Muslims, which is a great number of people in this world, haven't the slightest idea what a Christian is. There are many other earthly religions that reach a lot of people, and they don't have the slightest idea about what Christianity is. We kept it hidden. We kept it underground. We kept it to our own likes. We kept it to our own translations. We kept it to our own vision. I have nothing to offer but the Scriptures. I have nothing to talk about but the Scriptures. That's what I'd like to get across to you. So let's get this message out. I've written, a whole bunch of books. And if you'll turn to our bookstore in this very web page you're on now, turn over to the next one. Get the literature out. Help me get the message out in any way that I possibly can. You are my source of help. I want Christians to be known. I'm not interested in them being loved. We've taken enough bruises from the world, even here in America. We get slapped in the face every time we do something that appears to be Christian or righteous or even religious. Well, they don't know the end of it yet, because when we get close to the end of this dispensation, there are going to be many, many more people who will be hollering, the world needs to know what a Christian is. I want you to be one of them. Join with me. That's what we're all about, even now. Well, I'm going to have to leave you for this day, but I'm sure glad you tuned in and got what I had to say. God bless you and use you in a great way. Till tomorrow, God bless you. Bye-bye.